Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I want to talk about CGC. I personally don't own any CGCs. Normally, I would have complained about things like the old man that I am. But I've also, we all hear this before. If you don't like slabs, then don't get your book slabbed. You know, collect however you want. And there's probably room in the business for both slabs and raw books, as they're so called. And both sides can probably live together in harmony, essentially. I know that there's a lot of people out there who are not um, slabs, and I'm not here to tell you, I personally don't do it. I like reading the books. I collect what I want to read, and that's sort of how I do it. But I do believe that there is an inherent problem with CGC, however. Um, there's a lack of visibility that these grading companies are very intentional about not giving a reason why a book is X. So, what makes this a 9.8 and not a 9.9 or a 10, for example? What is it about their criteria? Um, and without giving a rationale, you know, um, so even if you do receive grade notes, which most often, from what I heard, they don't. Um, it probably lacks the substance, and the specific. And if these companies that are truly interested in proper visibility, customers would receive a list of every single problem that is with the issue, and I 100% believe in that. Like, why is this the one? Is it just because the cover is ripped out? Is it because they don't give anything, and that is a problem. Um, there, I definitely would want to know why I submitted a book, why it came out with a certain grade. Why is this one a 10 and the other one's a 9.8? Like, just say what? Say there was a rip on page 2. There was a bent corner on page, cuz all we see are covers. That's all we can see. And some of these 9.8, the covers are flawless. So what is it on the inside that caused the the grade per se? So I've always found that to be a reason. Look at this, a point 0.4. Goodness gracious. How'd you like to pay for that? You had to pay for the slabbing and all that for a point 0.4. Jeez Louise. But see what I mean? Look, the cover looks good. But what? A point 0.4, that means that everything inside has to be like ripped up, right? And so that what I was saying in the beginning, it sort of gives me to inconsistency. There are comic books that you have seen before that they'll be given a grade like a 9.8, 9.9, 10, 9.6, and you can clearly see that some of these comic books don't look near mint at all. Um and again, if they would just release why a grade is given, that would solve a lot of the problems. So, for those of you who are only wanting to buy 9.8s or whatever, I guess I should just say buyer beware. If I was going to get into the slab business, I would do it because I want a particular issue. And I would be fine with some low grades because here's the thing: most of my because all my comics are non. Uh, I've had a lot of them since childhood. Seeing defects on covers doesn't affect me. I don't go, oh, whatever, whatever. So I'm okay. So if I was to buy, and here's the thing: if you wanted to get like a first appearance of Wolverine, buy a low grade. Who cares? If it's for you. Now, if what you're wanting to do is sell it um in the future, like a Deadpool. If what you want is to have it for yourself, then what the hell do you need a 10 or a 9 and pay an exorbitant price? Buy an 8, buy a 7. I mean, you can get bargains out there. I'm quite sure there are some that are lowly graded. So you can buy it and not feel like you got taken hostage because you paid an exorbitant price on it. So if it's for yourself, buy a lower grade because all you want is the book. If you're adamant you want a really nice copy, then by all means pay that exorbitant price, but I prefer to get a deal. That's always me. So I started thinking to myself, I used to have the first appearance of Hulk. I used to have all I'm sorry, of Wolverine. I used to have all three issues, but unfortunately I had to sell them for an emergency, and so I did. I've regretted it ever since. I wish I hadn't, but I needed the money, and so I got some good deal, a really good deal. So I sold them, but I wish I could get them back. So I've been looking at low grades, and low grades are actually quite affordable. So maybe in the future, but um, so because there's no consistency how books are graded, um, and it's so subjective to the people that are grading them. I don't know. I just think that you risk um when you send a book, you risk a lot of times getting a very subjective grade because again, um it's in the eyes of them. One of the things that I've always thought of is because we don't know how honest a particular place is, what if someone is paying them to get the book graded a certain way? These corporations, there's zero way to know. Sometimes people can pay something we don't know. The companies, and I'm not saying that this is what they do, but they could. All it takes is a shady employee, and next thing you know, they're grading all these books up higher than the book really is, and then the person sells them for extra money. And don't tell me you've never thought of that before. I'm quite sure you may have thought that, hey, I wonder if you know someone paid extra to get a book graded a certain way. So, and by the way, CGC pays people like 15 to 20 bucks an hour. Just FYI, that how do you know that they're not swapping your books either? I'm just saying that we're putting a lot of trust into um a company that basically just says trust me, bro. Um how do we know? How do we know they're not swapping the books? How do we know they're not, it's just it's so difficult. I have trust issues. I don't trust them to um do. do what's best, perhaps. Also, just be aware that slabs don't protect against ultraviolet. So, if you leave your book exposed to light, it can damage it. Just FYI that these slabs that they put these books in are, yes, they're hard. It's hard plastic, but your book is not as protected as it is now. Some people says you can still get water damage. I've seen these slabs at my local comic book store. I don't see how water can get in there. Maybe it can, um, but I don't think so. But definitely they are able to. So for the value that, or for the amount of money that it costs to get these books labbed, you would think that ultraviolet protection would be essential to them. Also, between shipping, handling, sending over there, you are lucky if you can get a book slabbed, especially now they just up their prices. My God, a book can probably cost you $75 a pop. It doesn't matter, even if it's like, it does the cheapest, um, assuming because they have other ways to up their prices, but the minimum you're probably paying nowadays with everything, you're probably between um 50 to $75 per book. The other thing that I also think is how uh, from some of my understanding is employees that work at CGC have 3 minutes per book, so they have to make a decision in about 3 minutes. Do you really think that these guys are truly looking out for you? Do you think they're truly giving your book a fair grade? Because again, is this subjective? It's not supposed to be subjective, but it looks like what's the criteria? So again, you've got employees making 15 to $20 an hour at 3 minutes a book. How much of a shit do you think they give? Um, and we entrust so much and pay so much when you see a book out there that's a 9.8, a 9.6, a 9.5. This is why I say just buy a low grade. I mean, Jesus. One of the few other things, by the way, is that um, we let them devalue any book that doesn't utilize their services. For example, you could meet Todd McFarlane, have a talk to him, have him sign your copy of whatever, and you even send a certificate of authenticity. But guess what? If it wasn't witnessed by CGC, it's nothing. And in fact, it brings the value of your book down. Just FYI. So, you. I don't know, man. So, that it's a lot of reasons I don't really play that game with slabs. This is why I'm always looking for raw books and raw books only. I just don't know. I mean, I don't know why we put up with it and why we let a shady for profit companies insert themselves as middlemen in this beautiful hobby that we all love. One last thing I just want to say, and this is with anything. My father-in-law owns a lot of stuff. He's a farmer. He's collected a bunch of stuff, just random stuff over the years. He's cars and tractor equipment. He's a farmer, a lot of stuff, and he's always every time I go see him, he shows me something in his collection. He's like, this stuff is worth this or that or whatever, whatever. And I always said it's worth whatever somebody is willing to pay you. So I think that we need to relearn that value is determined by us, not really by them. And it's one of the sad things. I think once this book is slabbed, you can't see the inside. Newsprint, you just everything now with these facsimile editions. It just look at all these, Jesus. um, it's just not the same as the way the book was intended. So anyway, that's really all I want to say. But like I said, if it's valuable to you and you want to slab your book, by all means. But um, yeah, I don't know. I am out of that game. Look at that. Can you imagine paying $75 for a book? You get 6.0 and then you can't even sell it for that. I mean, you're already at a loss. Just FYI, if you that's why I don't believe that if you can get a high grade unless it's a key book of some kind. I don't think this book is a key book, but anyway, that's all I gotta say. So slab if you want to, but just not for me. Anyway, this is what I like. I like books in the raw. Anyway, so that's all I gotta say. So like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening to my little rant. Goodbye.